Hey everyone, Eric here. Welcome to this video. I wanted to do a little mini series kind of thing of showcasing friends of mine or people who I think are doing really cool things in the guitar pedal and just the guitar market. So in this video, the first installment, we're going over Zander Circuitry. I don't have all of the Zander Circuitry pedals here, but we're going to go over the ones that I do have. So first up, we have the Surplus Elemental Overdriver. Now this does house a couple what I think of as signature Zander Circuitry characteristics in the dual foot switch and the clipping rotary right here. So what the Surplus is an overdrive. Now we can get it's kind of lent itself more towards the tamer side. So if we just kick it on, gains it like halfway, we've got level 60% or so. So you can hear it's kind of overdriven, it's kind of getting really gritty there, but it's not super fuzzy as a lot of the rest of the collection I have here are. We have a level control right here, which is our main output volume. We have a gain control right above it. We have a response control right here, and then right beside it we have a tone control. The tone controls are more high-end frequencies, so if we turn it all the way down, we're gonna get a really dark sound. As we turn that up, we get a brighter sound. And the response control right beside the tone control are amount of low end. So at minimum, we're gonna get a thinner sound. So that could be useful for putting on a neck humbucker and kind of getting more sparkle out of that sound. Again, if we turn that up, we're going to introduce more low end to the signal, and maybe on something like a neck humbucker, it might not be the best. Actually, that sounds pretty good. What I was thinking is you could kind of take a bridge humbucker and beef a bridge humbucker up. So let's go ahead and turn that response down. Now let's go on to the signature controls, or what I think of as the Zander Circuitry signature controls. The main one being this rotary toggle in the middle right here. Now this lets us kind of fine-tune what clipping diodes we have engaged in the pedal. Not all of the Zander Circuitry pedals have this feature, but on most of the drive pedals you'll find in their line it does have this rotary toggle here. It's really useful because it lets you get a whole bunch of different types of breakup. So the first position right here, it's no diodes. So if we turn the gain up, and then the second position right here is MOSFET. Then we move on to a set of asymmetrical LEDs. That was asymmetrical silicon clipping. Then we're going to move to asymmetrical germanium clipping. And then next is symmetrical red LED clipping. And then symmetrical silicon clipping. And then last is symmetrical germanium clipping. So that 8-way signature rotary clipping section of these pedals has a different tonal effect on different circuits. Now, it's less noticeable on the surplus, but as we get down the line, you're going to hear that it's going to get more noticeable. Moving on from that signature characteristic, we're going to talk about the second foot switch. Now on the surplus, we have channel 2. It lets us switch over to this second level control, level 2 control, and then this second gain control right here. So what we could do is we could set up channel 1 to be more of a light overdrive. And then what we could do is we could set up channel 2 to be more of like that ultra high gain, or as high gain as the surplus can get. So now we're moving on to the Sono, which is a bass, preamp, and fuzz in one pedal. So we have two different circuits going at the same time. We can stack both of them together, or we can just use one by itself versus the other by itself. So we have a lot of routing options just in those foot switches right here. But let's go over the fuzz section, which is on the right-hand side here. Right down here, we have a blend control, we have a rip control, and then the tone control. And on the top, we have gain and level for the fuzz. And all of those are labeled with an F, so you know it's fuzz tone, fuzz rip, fuzz blend. This is a super high gain fuzz, so when I kick it on, the gain's going to be all the way down at minimum. So if we go ahead and focus in on the tone control right here, we're going to hear that we can shape the sound of that fuzz. Right next to it is the rip control, which is kind of like an output gate, or a gate on the output of the pedal. So once we start to turn that up, we're going to get like more sputtery sounds and more glitchy sounds. Next to the rip control is a blend control, and this lets us blend between fully fuzz circuit and then fully clean circuit. So as we turn that blend up, we're going to introduce more clean signal. And then now we're fully clean. I'm going to go ahead and turn the blend all the way back to fully fuzz. Now we're going to move on to the gain control, which again, it's been at minimum this whole time, so it's got a lot of gain on tap. Now we're going to move on to the preamp side. We have preamp blend right here, and then we have preamp level and gain up at the top. Again, I'm going to turn the blend all the way down because that's fully preamp. When we turn the blend up, we're going to get fully clean. So even on the preamp side, it can get pretty gainy. I'm going to turn the gain down though, turn the level up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and test out that blend control. Now, one cool thing I like to do is I like to set both the blends to about 50%. And so that lets us use both the fuzz and the preamp side, but you're getting a lot of the clean signal of the bass coming through. Also, I'm going to turn the gain down on the fuzz because it's so gainy. So now we've arrived at the Cranium distortion. This is based around the classic Rat circuit, and I actually have a video all about the Rat circuit and different takes from different companies on the market now. And I featured the Cranium in that video, so I'll link it down in the description below, but we'll go into it right here. Again, we have the dual foot switches. We have that signature 8-way rotary for the clipping selection in the middle of the pedal. So we have level, which is our overall output volume, turn it up to get louder sound. We have body and frequency, which kind of fine-tune the signal before it hits that clipping section. So the body controls our lower frequencies, the frequency controls like our upper, higher end frequencies. Next to that, we have our tone control. This operates like the classic Rat, so lower settings give you brighter sound. And then as we turn that tone control up, we're going to get darker sound. And then next to the tone control, we have the gain control of the overall circuit. That's going to be how much distortion you're introducing. Lower settings give you a cleaner sound. And then from there, you can add as much distortion as you want. Now again, in the middle of the pedal, we do have that signature 8-way clipping diode selection. So on the Cranium specifically, we get a lot of difference in those clipping sections. I'm going to start at the no clipping diodes, and then we're going to work our way all the way to the symmetrical germanium. a lot of those different positions have pretty significant changes on the sound of the pedal and the output volume of the pedal. The last feature I want to go over is this blast feature. Now, a similar idea to the surplus, but what happens is once we engage that blast foot switch, it switches over to this blast control right here. This is a secondary output volume. So we get control of our main level output and then a secondary level output. And then in the blast mode, the gain is maxed out. So we don't have a gain control on the pedal for that blast mode. It's just full gain all the time. So what I can do, again, similar to, you know, the surplus down here, is we can get just a nice crunchy sound in the main section of the pedal. I can get that nice crunchy sound, and then when I switch over to the blast setting, I can kind of match the levels, and then we can change from a, you know, that kind of less gainy sound to a completely fuzzed out sound. And that brings us to the American Geek, which is a very similar motif to the Cranium, but instead of being based on the Rat, we're actually based on the Big Muff, the classic Electro-Harmonix Big Muff. The American Geek just takes that kind of circuit and elaborates on it with, again, the signature Zander circuitry characteristics. We have the 8-way clipping toggle in the middle. Also, I should mention that I have another video here on the channel detailing the Big Muff circuit and different takes from different companies on the market now. The American Geek is featured in that video, so again, I will leave a link to that video in the description below as well. If you want to see the full video, go check that out. We're going to go over it here too. So again, we have our level control down here. We have a shift 1 and 2 up here instead of the body and frequency. Same kind of idea. This shifts the high and low pass in the tone control, which is right here to the left of those controls. Then we have our gain control. We have a blast function on this pedal too, so we have the blast foot switch and the blast level control. Let's go ahead and get a sound. So the shift 1 and 2 controls really interact with the tone control. Now on a Big Muff style pedal, the tone control blends between a low pass filter and a high pass filter. And what we can do with the shift 1 and 2 controls is control that cutoff frequency of both the high pass and the low pass filter. So let me just put this in the middle, and then I can kind of go in between extremes on shift 1 and 2. I can't explain it like in super precise detail because it's very interactive, and sometimes in some tone settings it's very subtle, in other tone settings it's very apparent what these do. And of course, similar to the Cranium, we could set up maybe like a lower gain sound on the main circuit and then kick on that blast circuit to really get a second channel with a whole bunch of fuzz. And now to round off the collection that I have right here, we have the Cyclone Chaos Initiator. That's such a cool name for a fuzz pedal. What the Cyclone started out as is kind of a take on the Fuzz Factory. Now, if you're familiar with the Fuzz Factory, it's very chaotic, or it can be very chaotic, and it can be kind of difficult to understand. I think it was the comp and gate controls. Those are really interactive with each other to kind of maintain the oscillation in the Fuzz Factory. What we have in the Cyclone that kind of compare to that relation are the shunt right here and the squash. In addition to those shunt and squash controls, we have starve, which kind of, starves the voltage of the circuit. We have a break control, which is a tone control. And then down on the bottom here, we have our fuzz control. We have punch, which is kind of like a mid-range control a little bit. We have body, which is more of like a low frequency control. And then we have overall output volume with our level. Right here on the bottom left-hand side, we have a tone off switch, which takes the tone control completely out of the circuit, making it louder and, all the frequencies pass through. So let's just go ahead and see what sound we have with these settings right here. So with these specific settings right here, it sounds kind of like a video game. Let's go ahead and kind of mess with the body control, because the body control has this weird in-between, like when it's at either end of its travel, we get kind of differing styles of fuzz. It kind of like is more saturated on one end and then more glitchy on the other. So you can kind of hear that each control inside the Cyclone has a relationship with most of the other controls. It's a really cool pedal in that way, and I really like it. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of first installment of a new series I want to try. If you did, of course, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what companies you think I should cover in this series. And I would love to know, out of these pedals that you heard in this video, which one was your favorite and which one would you add to your pedal board. Thank you so much for watching. I want to send a huge thank you to these folks right here, my executive producers over on my Patreon page. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so very much for all of the support. If you watching this would like to help support the channel here or just my efforts on the internet, that's a great place to do it. I will leave a link to Patreon in the description below. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.